Excited. I think, obviously our goal of reaching the playoffs last year we accomplished, but now, we want to be a championship contender. I think we're putting in the pieces to be able to do that, hopefully add some free agents, and you can just feel the excitement in the whole organization and in the city, our fans. So honestly, I can't wait to get back out there. I wish we had a game tomorrow, honestly. Yeah.
Do you recall when the Indiana Fever only won 5 games 2 seasons ago? Well, a lot has changed in just a few years. Their standout player, Caitlin Clark, called for star power, and the Fever's revamped front office responded with a bold and impactful move.
Quick thoughts on the $80 million Fever facility and Stephanie White being like, we're going to be aggressive in free agency, and massive names who are available. And I think, this is my bold prediction, the Indiana Fever are going to be playing for the WNBA title next year. Wow. They have their cornerstone pieces under rookie contracts.
In a move that sent shockwaves throughout the WNBA, the Indiana Fever have signed not 1, not 2, but 3 superstar players. This is no longer just a rebuild. It's a full-scale basketball revolution, propelling the Fever to the forefront of title contenders. Curious about the game-changing players behind this shift and how they fit into Indiana's grand strategy. This isn't just a roster enhancement. It's a complete transformation that has the rest of the league rethinking their approach. Ready to dive in? Let's go.
Are big name veteran pieces that the Fever have money to go get to put them in position to be playing for a WNBA title. That's my bold prediction.
Let's take it back to when the Indiana Fever were the bottom of the WNBA. It wasn't too long ago. Just 2 seasons ago, they finished with a dismal 5 wins. It felt like they were trapped in an endless losing streak, but then everything shifted. The Fever began making bold moves that caught the attention of the entire league.
I felt this way to begin with, that the Fever were going to be a destination because you have Caitlin Clark, you have Aaliyah Boston, and you have a really, really young team. And I think now with Steph White, who is hands down one of the best coaches in the league, and we saw that with Connecticut, even though they fell a little bit short, I think that, this is going to be big.
The Fever made a game-changing move by drafting Aaliyah Boston with the first overall pick in 2023, a generational center in her own right. Despite her talent, though, the team still ended up with a tough 13-27 record. But the following year, they had the first pick again and selected Caitlin Clark, the once-in-a-generation phenom who took the WNBA by storm. Her impact was instant and undeniable, averaging 19.2 points per game in her rookie season and setting 62 records along the way. Clark showcased an ability to score and create plays like a veteran, but even a star of her caliber needed support to push the team forward.
Are you in a position where you can add some pieces?
Yes, we are. We're definitely in a position, and I would think that if you are a smart basketball player and you watch the way she plays, you would want to play with her.
That's where the Fever's core of Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Lexa Hull stepped up. As they started to click, the team quickly transformed. Suddenly, Indiana wasn't an easy target anymore. Teams couldn't just stroll in expecting a simple win. These young stars were hungry and ready to prove their worth. Last season, they surprised everyone by battling their way into the playoffs with a 20-20 record. It was a major milestone, marking their first playoff appearance in nearly a decade. But for Caitlin Clark, it wasn't enough. She knew the Fever had the potential to be more than just a good team. They had what it took to be great.
I see a lot of players wanting to go, in this offseason, a lot of players are going to want to go to the Fever.
So, what did Clark do? She went straight to the front office and asked for quality free agents. And let me tell you, the new management team of President Kelly Koff and GM Amber Cox didn't just listen, they delivered. The Fever had 4 main priorities this offseason. First, they had to re-sign Kelsey Mitchell at all costs. She had been the heart and soul of the team, averaging 19.2 points per game last season. Second, they wanted versatile wings who could score and defend, adding extra firepower for Clark and Mitchell. Third, they needed to strengthen the forward position with players who were big, defensive-minded, and could run the floor and score when needed. And finally, they sought a backup guard to manage the offense when Clark or Mitchell needed a rest.
Building quality depth is going to be important. When you have a core 3 like we have, surrounding them with players who are going to, fill the roles, certainly, first and foremost, who are going to embrace the roles, secondly, and who give us the best opportunities for success by complementing what they do really, really well.
Now, the stage is set for a transformation that's about to send shockwaves through the WNBA. The Fever aren't just aiming for the playoffs anymore. They're targeting the top, with Caitlin Clark setting the rookie assist record and proving her ability as both a scorer and facilitator. The pieces are falling into place for something truly special in Indiana. So, who are the three perfect signings that made this all possible? The Fever's front office promised Clark they'd bring in top talent, and they absolutely delivered. Let's talk about the game-changing move that turned heads across the league, signing Natasha Howard. A three-time champion, an all-star, and a defensive player of the year, Howard is everything Indiana needed and more.
This was the most improved team from the beginning of the season to the end of the season in terms of the Indiana Fever. I think the signing of Natasha Howard is huge. She fits the system beautifully. She is a terrific rim runner, and we know Caitlin Clark is one of the best get-ahead passers in the WNBA.
Some people were skeptical, questioning if Howard, at 33, still had what it took to be a game-changer. But those doubters clearly hadn't been paying attention. Last season with the Dallas Wings, Howard was putting up impressive numbers. 17.6 points, 6.7 rebounds, and 2.9 assists per game, while shooting a scorching 45.6% from the field. That's not just good, that's elite.
Also outstanding in the pick and roll. She is a floor spacer, and she brings experience. The Indiana Fever made the playoffs last year for the first time since 2016, and in that first game, none of their starters had any playoff experience. Natasha Howard has over 50 games of playoff experience, three-time WNBA champion. She fits them beautifully.
But here's where it gets really exciting. Howard isn't just a scoring powerhouse. She's a defensive force. Remember when she was named Defensive Player of the Year in 2019? Well, she hasn't lost a step. Howard's the kind of player who can dominate the paint and still have the stamina to push the tempo on fast breaks. It's like having a Swiss Army knife on the court. She can do it all.
Natasha Howard throws it right to... Oh! Anthony Rice's kidney! Oh! Defensive Player of the Year in the WNBA! You should just lock it up! John can't give it to him, and right there is Howard with a block. Another one rejected by...
And let's not overlook her championship pedigree. Howard has 3 WNBA titles to her name, and she knows exactly what it takes to win when the stakes are high. That kind of experience is invaluable, especially for a young team like the Fever. In fact, she has more playoff experience than the entire Fever roster combined. You can bet she'll be in Caitlin Clark's ear, sharing all those championship insights. But that's not all. Howard isn't just a defensive dynamo. She can also stretch the floor with her three-point shooting. Ready to see what happens when one of the league's top defenders starts knocking down threes. It's going to unlock a whole new dimension for the Fever's offense. Picture Aaliyah Boston dominating in the paint while Howard, Clark, and Hull keep defenders on their toes at the perimeter. It's a nightmare for any opposing team.
Have certainly improved by signing Howard. She, to me, fits their system beautifully as a rim-running stretch four. We know Caitlin Clark is the best get-ahead passer in the WNBA right now. Howard will run the floor. Howard is outstanding in the pick and roll. We saw how good she was doing that when she was in Seattle. What else does she bring? A massive amount of experience. Remember, all the conversation for Indiana going into the playoffs last year, first time they'd made it since 2016, was how little playoff experience they had. You see, now they have 33 games. In that first playoff game against the Connecticut Sun this past season, they had 0 playoff experience from their starting 5. Howard brings playoff experience. She's won 3 championships with both Minnesota and Seattle. So to me, she's a huge, huge piece for them.
Why does everybody hate Caitlin Clark? And do you hate Caitlin Clark? Come on, talk
dude.
to me.
Absolutely not. I think that she's a gem. I didn't know her, but All-Star Weekend, we kind of bantered back and forth a little bit. And she's lovely. She has a lot of pressure on her shoulders, and I think a lot of people always have a lot to say with people they don't even know or shoes they've never been in. And for me, I think she's handling the pressure very well. She's doing a lot of great things for women's basketball. And I'm a fan. Like, I would love to play with her one day, for real.
What is that? What's it might not be from you, but like what is the, I mean, it feels it's not hate, but is it jealousy? Is it envy? Is it just like, what is it?
Yeah, I see both sides. I'm not an extremist in any way.
Yeah.
And so I like to see both sides of each party. I think when you have older people in the league, they work their tails off and they didn't get the recognition. They don't get paid millions of dollars before they even step on the court. You know what I mean? And for them, it's all about, okay, well, what are your stats? What are you doing for the actual game? Like, while you're playing.
Yeah.
And then for